So you take the song Close to You by the Carpenters. Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? They long to be birds. But replace the word birds with the word turds. And then it's, why do turds suddenly appear every time you are near? Bunch of turds floating around in my ear. And also my mouth, because that's... Now, while I will say, obviously, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, I'm obviously not the first person to realise that the word bird is a 100% perfect rhyme. Wait, did I say bird or turd? The word bird, I'll start that sentence again because I forgot what I said. The word bird is a perfect rhyme with the word turd. I'm not the first person to realise that, obviously. However, I'm clearly the very first person to realise that song can be changed in that way by replacing the word birds with the word turds. And I think, I deserve some kind of accolade for that. I'm not expecting to get a silver play button YouTube plaque anytime soon, if ever. I'm far too niche and underground and punk and gangster for that kind of mess, that kind of popularity nonsense. But I think I should get something for being the first person, clearly, obviously, being the first person to realise that the song Close to You by the Carpenters can be made infinitely funnier and more interesting and more artistically beneficial by replacing the word birds with the word turds. I deserve something for that. I do try to keep my ego in check, but I also try to be aware of what the fuck I've got, what I am, what I can do, the power that I hold within me to realise something as specific and groundbreaking as the fact that it's funny to say, why do turds suddenly appear? Why do turds appear every time you're near? Is it because of your diarrhea? Just like poo, they poo and pee. Poo, pee, pee. It's funny. That is funny. Remember how, was it last week I was talking about watching Good Morning Vietnam and Vietnam and how Robin Williams was my age now, that I am at now, when he made that film, and how sometimes I feel like I'm maybe not in the great position I maybe ought to be in by my age, but then I sit here going, turds instead of birds. That's funny, isn't it? It's fucking funny. This underpainting was supposed to go really quick. I was supposed to finish the underpainting about the same time I finished the whole birds and turds thing, but apparently I'm taking my sweet fuck time with it, so I've got to just quickly fucking get paint in the paint, paint the paint the fucking paint, you son of a bitch. Eat my ass and suck my dick, piss on my tits, fart on my nips. Your mum is a cunt. Is that some fucking Judge Dredd? Hiya! Yes, it fucking is. In 2013, I met Glenn Fabry at a comic book convention con, and I got this sketch. He was doing little sketches, little pencil sketches, convention sketches for £10. And I said, hey, give me a fucking Dredd, you long-haired bastard. And he said, all right. And then he did that. 2013. So old. That's over 10. Jesus, 12 years old. I was going to make a joke. 12 years old. Just like my current girlfriend. Ha 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 ha. I'm not. We don't do that anymore. I don't. I did paint over this. If I can find a picture, I will put it up here. Bloink! Years and years ago now. I don't remember which year, but it was years ago now. And it was fine. But then more recently, maybe last year sometime, there was a Greg Staples. Greg Staples was on a live streamed and then recorded video on David Finch's channel, and he was showing his painting process, and he painted a picture very similar to this, a Dredd head face, Greg Staples being amongst the pantheon of 2000 AD artists, hand painting artists nonetheless. He was a bit of a Walt Disney clone back in the day, but he very much sort of maneuvered that into his own thing, and now he is his own standout artist, and he is fucking fantastic, annoyingly so. So I thought it would be cool to trace this and then repaint it along with the video of Greg Staples painting, along with David Finch and somebody else who I forget. I apologise for that. And so I did. And this isn't finished. I got to this point where it's almost finished. I could even finish this and it would probably be okay. But I got to this point and I was a bit like not really feeling it. It felt, I mean, I was going to say it felt like I don't look at this and feel like it's a painting that I have made. But then I was following along with somebody else showing how they paint. So, boy. But I wasn't in love with it, so I figured I'm getting paint everywhere. That's funny. On paintings, imagine that. I didn't love it. I don't hate it, but I didn't love it, so I just stopped and I was like, it's fine, it's whatever. Maybe I'll go back and finish it up. Maybe I won't. I mean, really, it just needs a few highlights and a few shadows, and then it's basically done, like the darker outlines and shadows. But that wasn't really part of Greg Staples' thing, so I didn't necessarily want to. But I come to this point now where I'm like, it would be cool to repaint it, but in more of a me, just as I would if I was going to trace this drawing and repaint it now today as me being me. How might that look? And so that's what we're gonna do today. That's what us, me and all of you as a team. I'm going to sit and paint while you will watch, I guess. I don't know. I'll see how far I get. I've been tempted over the years to paint directly over this. But then I think every time I have that thought, I'm like, nah. Because this is not like super, super duper prized possession. But it's a little bit of a prized possession. It's the first and so far only time I met Glenn Fabry, who is basically my number one favourite artist in terms of like his influence over me and how inspired I was by what he does do. So to have this as sort of small a thing as it is, it's important. Es mucho importante. to me. So I might keep it nice. The temptation is still there to just paint over it, but then I'd fuck it up, and then it would be lost forever and ever. And then what am I gonna do? A pee and a poo. Ha ha ha. And it smells like you. So without further ado, a pee and a poo. Ha ha. Oh. In major cities, you're never more than 6 feet away from a rat, and if around Ewan, you're never more than 30 seconds away from talking about poo, saying the word cunt unnecessarily, an unnecessary use of the word, because sometimes the word cunt it is necessary sometimes to, as a descriptor or as an exclamation of aggravation or whatever. I use that in the way some people use the word like shit or fuck when something bad happens. They might bump their toe and go fuck, shit, ah, ouch. I use the word cunt like that. Bump my funny bone on the door frame while I'm carrying my dinner through into my room, and I go cunt. Fucking cunt. Or if you want to hear, as that's what people do, they want to hear the word cunt. If you want to hear the word cunt a bunch of times, you be in the room when I'm trying to record a what the fuck am I talking about? When I'm trying to record a commentary for like one of my painting videos or something, I usually manage to get them in one take, but sometimes it takes me a few tries to get to that one take, and it's usually within the first like minute or the first 30 seconds where I'll fuck up, and because it's the first 30 seconds I have to restart. If I'm 10 minutes in and I fuck up, then I'm like, fucking whatever, I'll just deal with it. But if I'm trying to do the intro and it's the first 30 seconds and I fuck up, then you never heard the word cunt used more times in a short space of time than you do then. And it's all directed at myself. It's all cunt, you fucking cunt, fucking idiot, cunt, stupid, worthless cunt. Call yourself a professional fucking artist. No, you're a professional fucking cunt. You cunting fucking cunt. Go fucking cunting kill yourself. Jesus Christ, can't even talk about a painting. Literally been doing it for decades, and you can't even talk about what the fuck it is you're doing. You useless, worthless fucking cunt. You doo-doo head. So now I'm painting Judge Doo-doo Head. I mean Dredd. Ha ha ha. Hoo hoo. Hee 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 hee. Oh ho ho ho. I'm not intending for this to be like a tutorial or anything. This is literally just, I wanted to do it, and so I am do it. If you learn anything from watching me do it, then grand, but that's not my purpose today. Today, my purpose is, you know how some films, like The Big Lebowski, apparently, I never realised when I first watched The Big Lebowski, but then after watching it a couple more times and then watching a couple of videos of people talking about it, and I watched a couple of interviews with the three main actors about it, about how they felt getting into it and how they were approached to be in it or whatever. It's quite interesting. But I never really realised at first how much the F word is used, and it is used a lot. But I guess I'm so horrible and desensitized to it that to me hearing the F word a lot is like nothing. It's just like hearing people talk. And in daily life you hear people swear, it's whatever, but for someone like myself who is fond of throwing swear words around, I did not even notice. But so in a similar vein to that, again, maybe I should get a plaque for having the most C words in a podcast. And it's not that, if somebody sat and made a video saying the word cunt 8 million times. You know, like, didn't Mr. Beast get his start doing a bunch of shit like that? Just saying a bunch of shit over and over, counting to 1 million or some fucking boring nonsense. That millions and millions of people flock to and watch eagerly. Like the fucking sheep they are. Oops. Like, if I was going to sit here and try to say cunt as many times as possible in a video, then that's like boring and whatever. But with me, you know, it's just how it is. It just happens naturally. It's just how I talk. It's just how I am. It's not even how I talk. It's what I am as a person. I'm just that horrible person. It just says cunt a lot. Now, if you invite them to like a family thing, you have to take them aside and be like, now listen. At least try to cool it somewhat on all of the swears. I know you're a free spirit and you do you, and we love you for that, Ewan, but it's my family, it's my grandmother's birthday. I think everyone would appreciate it if you didn't say cunt every third word out of your mouth, please, and thank you, Ewan. Thanks. Not that has to happen, because I'm sensible. I'm smart. I'm not dumb like everyone says. It's from The Godfather. Godfather 2 or 1 or something. I have enough sense that if I'm at somewhere where it's probably best not to throw the C word around a lot, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not silly. I just, when I'm in the comfort of my own home, like now, where I can say whatever I want as much as I want, then I'll fucking say cunt a lot. Maybe I will get comments and messages now and then saying, I love your work, Ewan, your videos are fun and they keep me going and they inspire me to this and that. But could you maybe not swear so much? I try to watch your videos on the big screen and then my family hears it from the other room and they just hear, cunt, fuck, piss, shit, dog's anus, bollock breath, fart on your mother's cunt, and then it makes me not want to watch your shit so much because it's embarrassing, Ewan. It's fucking embarrassing. Oh, it's embarrassing. Ooh. That was Popeye. Oh, I don't often get Popeye impressions on the Ewan podcast. Look at that. How many podcasts give you that? Ooh. Ooh, he's a cunt. A cunt. I don't know how Popeye would say cunt. I'm not some spinach eating sailor boy. The fuck do I know? Ooh. And that's all I've got to talk about. That's it. It's all my topics of conversation gone now. So now I guess I'll just say cunt some more. Ooh. There's a few things that are going to hopefully be going on with this painting. This might actually take me longer than I initially thought. It's one of those deceiving ones because it's not a big painting and each area of colour is relatively small because there's not a lot of skin. There's just this. So it shouldn't take that long, but I feel like I might end up taking quite a while because I do want to make this a good painting. I did do a painting like this quite a while ago and I'm trying to redo it, and so I want to make it good in the redoing of it. Make it worthwhile. And the skin is just like in comics and things I do, in most paintings I do, the flesh and like faces and stuff are almost always the first part I do because it's one of the parts that if you fuck it up, you fuck up the entire thing. Because I could paint all the rest of it perfectly, try to paint the face and like try to paint it with stubble or something, but just fuck up the tone and have it not work, or screw up the lines and the texture of it, and then I've just fucked up the whole piece. Whereas if I do the skin, the face and all that well, if I fuck up the helmet or the shoulder pad a little bit, it doesn't really matter, and then I can just turn that into texture or like battle damage or whatever. But if you fuck up the face, then it's all fucked up, and you've got a fucking, and then it's proof of how shit you are, proof of the fact that you should just give up and get a real job, you worthless piece of shit, Ewan. You're an asshole. Ooh. So there's the face to be worked on, which is one thing. And then I'm going to try... So I'm leaving a gap here because I'm going to try and really define the shape of his face with some rim lighting. A bit on the neck when I get to that. So that's something to take into account. The red, I'm always tempted... almost always, whenever I paint Dredd, to just have a big block red colour with no shading or highlighting or anything. But on a painting like this, I feel like it doesn't necessarily need to have highlighting and stuff, but I think it could benefit from it. It would be worth doing. I feel like I'm losing the shape of this, the lower underlip bit. I think I'm ruining it. I think I'm ruining it. And you're watching it happen in real time. The shoulder pads were easy enough. I mean, obviously they weren't in the original drawing, and I wanted to keep as much to the original drawing as possible. I didn't want to add too many elements, but there are details that just sort of I feel are kind of necessary, like adding in the shoulder pads and the chain and stuff, just enough to flesh it out a bit. Looking at this, obviously the Glenn Fabry in it. I got this from that same Communic convention where I got the sketch. I got the sketch. I also got this print, this Futurama Simpsons crossover print. That's signed and everything. This is another one I thought it'd be cool to paint over. Could be. And I also got this. I bought this because this came out shortly before that comic convention, and at the time in 2013 it was a brand new Glenn Fabry painted cover of 2000 AD, which was a really cool, sort of rare thing to come across. So I was really excited about that. So I took it along, got it signed. There's no Glenn Fabry on the inside, sadly, but a Glenn Fabry painted cover, signed. Items. Bunch of shitums. Oh, I also found this unrelated, but not. I mean, it's related because it's Dredd. It's just a drawing of Dredd that I did not that long ago from a sketchbook. When I was looking through stuff, I was like, "Oh, hey, cool! That relates to the." But I was able to get an art book, which was one of the most exciting things for me to take away from that convention. Like being able to have met Glenn Fabry was the big thing, and still to this day, that's one of my favourite things I've ever done in my life is meet Glenn Fabry, this artist I've looked up to for so many years, who's inspired me in such grand ways. To be able to meet him was really something, which isn't outrageous because artists are at conventions all the time and people meet them all the time. So it's not that ridiculous to be like, I can't believe I met him. But I don't go anywhere or do anything ever. So the fact that I was able to meet him meant something to me. So then, other than that, the fact I was able to take away a to me a brand new Glenn Fabry art book was also good. And it's sketches and stuff. There's some paintings and things in here as well. Of course, I've shown it before on the podcast, but I do what I want. We're having a Dredd Glenn Fabry episode today, so lots of Jesse Custer from whatever it was he was from. Preaching Man. That comic, that famous comic, Preaching Man. I assume these are either commissions or like convention sketches, because they look relatively low key. They could be like what some people do is pre-convention commissions, where they'll pay for like a convention sketch but beforehand and then pick it up at the convention. So it might be those, because it looks like he didn't rush it, sat at a convention table, but they might be. I don't know. Just guessing. Saint of Killers. Fucking love Saint of Killers. I don't know if you've seen the show, the Preaching Man show, where the Saint of Killers has a beard. And I think when I first saw it, I was like, he's not meant to have a beard. He doesn't have a beard in the comics. But actually, it really works in the show. He looks fucking badass in the show. Sadly, the show started well, but then dragged on a bit when they were in New Orleans, and they were just in like an apartment for most of the season. Love a Tank Girl. Glenn Fabry's done he's done at least one painted cover of Tank Girl, which is really, really cool. Some ladies, I don't know where they're from, or them. James Bond. This is funny. I don't know who these. I don't know. Maybe they're actual people. Maybe they're people who commissioned him to draw a thing. Just looking at a bunch of filthy sketches, just cocks and vaginas, Mickey Mouse sucking a dick, and they're just like, ooh. Dredd. A Dredd sketch. It looks like he's used, I don't know, probably a marker pen or something for the grey tones. Maybe a couple of marker pens. That's a pretty good Dredd. I should trace and paint that one. I should just trace and paint a load of Fabry shit. That's cool. Dredd and Death. I like his mouth. It looks kind of goofy, but like a bit of a silly smile, but it still fits the Judge Death vibe and aesthetic. Glenn Fabry has done a Dredd and Batman crossover. I don't feel like this image quite holds the power of the Dredd Batman crossover story that he did. But it's a very good drawing, of course. And if I had commissioned him to draw me this and this was the result, I'd be happy with it. It's very good. It's very, very good. A very slim Dredd compared to because I'm used to, Bisley, Jim Murray, even Greg Staples. It's quite a beefy Dredd that he draws. And so that's quite a slim Dredd. Which, Dredd originally was slimmer. I think it was probably Bisley and that lot that made him bigger and bulkier, because that's what they do. Again, completely making assumptions, but this feels like it's a commission. Like, hey, could you paint me and a lizard? Maybe the setting has some relevance to the person or something. Very, very cool painting, though. Like, regardless, if it's not a commission, it's a cool painting. If it is a commission, that's a really cool painting. Like, you imagine receiving that painting just being like, a Glenn Fabry original. That's really good. Love a Hulk. There was a period of time where, I think about 3 or 4 years, where each year I painted a new big screaming Hulk face on like a canvas or a board or something and hung it above my bed. Those were some good times. Partly, I think I was about to say I should start doing that again. I probably won't. It's a nice idea. It could be nice to just get a big canvas and paint a big screaming Hulk face on it, just because. And not try to get it all done in one go, but just go back to and from to go back to it now and then and just work on it in little segments and you know, a little bit at a time, and then eventually just have a big screaming Hulk face painting, which would be cool, and then sell it for $1 million. It's a cool Howard the Duck piece. Spider-Man there, I like that. Sinister Six, quite an odd composition to just have these little figures sort of placed around Spider-Man. A really cool looking Spider-Man. This actually reminds me of the classic, it must be 80s or 90s, or maybe even earlier, Spider-Man TV show that was live action. And I really loved the fact that Spider-Man looked like a man wearing a costume, like cloth. Like the costume was baggy in places and it creased when he bent his arms and stuff. Whereas in the comics and like the newer films and things, he feels like a CGI character, which, you know, he kind of is. And you lose something. So I love the look of Spider-Man as a man wearing a costume. And this feels more like that, which I like. Which, I mean, it's helped by Glenn Fabry's almost strict adherence to realism in his like proportions and the way he draws anatomy and clothing and stuff. It's not too wild. It doesn't have his legs bending in crazy positions. He's not all stretched out. It feels very sort of like solid. Which I have said in positive and negative terms, depending on the situation. Sometimes realism can be a detriment. Sometimes, if it's Glenn Fabry, I'm going to say it's good regardless. This is really, really cool. I like the white for the lighting, because sometimes, like white, pure white, you wouldn't think to use just pure white for lighting. You feel like there should be more tone, and maybe the white would be too harsh. But in this piece, it's painted well enough that just the white for the lighting really, really works. And I really like that. I also like to see Superman get the shit smacked out of him. Quite an interesting background as well. Almost feels like a Phil Hale painting, the background. It's like disappearing into the shadows a bit. Sort of verging on abstract shapes, but it feels like a place. A Preacher cover, probably a commission. I assume most of the stuff in here is commissions or just whatever. Maybe it was a cover for something. I don't know. Maybe it was like an anniversary thing. I love the Saint of Killers in like sepia tone. And you can see the layers. You can see the underpainting underneath, where he's only used a couple of layers of paint on top of that to bring the face out of the background. Some good shit, man. More Preacher pieces. I think these were covers for like a zombie series of comics that he did covers for, I believe. It's really cool. As a zombie fan, to see zombies painted by my favourite artist is pretty great. And they're good zombies because one of the things I like about zombies is I like when they're done realistically. Like Left 4 Dead is fun, but for me, I don't love the special zombies that have like almost superpowers and they get a bit wild. Like a tank, sort of, okay, I get that, like it just has mutated big. It's not the best, but okay, it's whatever. Bloaters, I can sort of, you know, they're swelling up because they're dead. They inflate with all the decaying gases and stuff. But even then, tanks are a bit much, and bloaters being like super poisonous and shit is a weird. But I love zombies just being literally dead human beings that have come to life to eat the living. And with Glenn Fabry, the realism that he puts into his work, that fits my ideal zombie aesthetic very, very well. I love the very vague green sort of rim lighting. It's almost not even lighting because it doesn't feel bright or glowy. It's just like a shade of like a reflection or something. Just there, just adding just a little bit of the creases in the clothing, the creases in the neck as well, the skin there. Really good shit. God, love that. That would be like a dream job if somebody came to me and was like, Ewan, got this comic book series I'm working on all about zombies. I'd love for you to do a series of like 4, 5 or 6 covers. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Dream job. Just paint a bunch of pictures of zombies. And like stuff like this, it'd be really fun to experiment with, like doing hordes of zombies, individual zombies, close-ups of zombies, one of like zombies tearing people apart and shit. It'd be so much fun. I might have to just paint a couple just because. Consider them like portfolio pieces. Show them around, try to get work like that. I never liked Tarzan. I've no reason not to. I just could never get into it. It's one of those things that were like, there was Tarzan, I don't know, films or shows on, like black and white ones on Sundays. We'd come home from church and there'd just be boring fucking garbage television on like a Sunday afternoon when there was like 4 or 5 channels. And often there'd be like Tarzan, old shit westerns. And I just hated all of them. Probably because of the whole church Sunday thing, but fucking whatevs. Schmomems. Oh, I missed the page. Yeah. I love some Constantine. Constantine's good. There's a Constantine graphic novel, like trade paperback or whatever, with a bunch of Bisley stuff in, and I used to see it in the shop all the time, and I kept thinking like, oh, I should pick this up, and I never did. And since I've had it in my head, like next time I see it I'll pick it up, and I haven't seen it since. I'm sure I could order it, I could find it somewhere, but it's just one of those things, one of those funny things. More Constantine. Lobo. We do like Lobo. Again, I do feel like Lobo could and maybe should be bigger and musclier. And Fabry just doesn't tend to go that way with his art. Still a cool painting, drawing, painting, drawing piece, whatever. But yeah, it was good. Little sketches. These are really fun to see. You don't see many of these. Typically, if you see Glenn Fabry's work, it's like maybe this kind of stuff, his comic book work, his comic book covers, but it's quite rare that you get to see teeny tiny little sketches of a little Slane chopping up a pig. Little Hellboy, a Fabry Hellboy, that's something new. A devil with a dick, some guy making out with a little dog, I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh shit, it's Glenn Fabry. Me, literally me when I saw Glenn Fabry. Oh shit, it's Glenn Fabry. Predator, that's cool. This is cool to see as well. I guess, assume, think, believe. Strange Ways Brewing, Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, so I guess some brewing company was like, commissioned him to paint a picture for them to use, I don't know, for their publicity materials, maybe as a storefront piece on shirts or whatever. A chimp on a barrel drinking or with a glass of whatever. Cognac. That looks like a cognac glass, I don't know. I assume that's the finished final painting. Inked drawing that I assume would have been painted over. And you get the little concept sketch. That's really cool to see. I like that. I like that a lot. Bunch of shit. Bunch of shit. Probably pieces for another comic series about a bunch of shit. I like this. All the maggots. The fucking detail in that. just covered in like bugs, mostly maggots, but other bugs and stuff as well, coming out of all the orifices. That's crazy detailed, that piece. Even like the branches and stuff, there's loads and loads of detail in that. He probably got paid for that. Like if he's going to spend that long putting on all the details. Lot 13. That's the name of the... I believe I remember seeing that in stores at some point. I might have made that up, but I think I did. That's cool. That's a really cool image. Even if it wasn't a Glenn Fabry piece, that would be a cool image. Little girl with a teddy bear and a hatchet covered in blood. Dead bodies behind her. And twisted and mauled. But the fact that it's also a Glenn Fabry drawing just makes it that extra cool. Really fucking cool. Zombie. Spawn. Very slim looking Spawn, but still, we love it regardless. And Spiddle-Dee-Dee. I meant to say earlier on, I apologise if the audio quality is shit. I think when I was recording, I think it was last week's, and I recorded a little like interim bit in the middle. I didn't change anything about my recording setup or whatever, but the audio quality was like distinctly different, and I felt worse. And I feel like I looked back at some of the older episodes to check if it was like that, and I think here and there the audio quality is shit, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't seem to notice at the time. I think it's just my microphone is maybe just old. It's you know, it's a cheap little lapel mic, and it's a good few years old. It's probably just past its use by date or whatever, and I'm probably due a new one. So I will aim to get a new microphone. I'll aim also to get a new, better microphone. Hopefully, not such a cheap one. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, I can't necessarily afford to get an expensive one. You know, I don't need an expensive one, but even so, I can't necessarily afford anything other than the cheapest option in general. But I'll try to get something to hopefully improve the audio quality at least somewhat. I mean, really, the audio quality is just... my voice is what brings the audio quality, isn't it? And all of my cuss words, that's where the audio quality will be found. But also the microphone. You know, I don't want to be like, oh, the audio doesn't matter as long as you can hear what I'm saying and you can see the drawings, yada, yada, yada. But it matters at least a little bit, doesn't it? It's nice to have... I think sometimes it sounds like really echoey and there's a sort of hum or a buzz or something going on in the background. I've purposely like turned off my fan and stuff to make sure that's not interfering, in case that was interfering. I don't really know, but yeah, so that's something I've become aware of. And I mean, the audio quality in my shit's never really been great anyway, but there's no reason for it to be extra bad, is there? Come on now. Come on. That's just not on. That's just not cricket. I added a few bits to this that you might not have seen. Maybe I'll make them Patreon exclusives or something. What did I do? I did a little bit of shadowing from his visor, which... it's not a very rich purple, it's quite a grey purple, but it is a purple. And I tried to make it some kind of colour rather than just a darker colour of his skin, a darker tone of his skin. So it feels like light coming through the visor and sort of casting a coloured light / shadow or whatever on his face, which is a good little detail to add to a Dredd piece, and just some details around his face. I added in the base dark blue and the base sort of brown under the other bits. So most of it is good to go in terms of just filling in the details. Ooh, excuse me, and stuff. And so that's basically what I'm doing now. I am going to try not to spend. Why do I repeat myself? I'm trying not to spend too long on this, but I do want to make it good. So maybe I'll spend. Maybe this will be one of those episodes where I figure like, oh yeah, I could paint a picture of Dredd in an hour and a half, and the episode ends up being fucking 4 hours of me trying to come up with shit to say. This is a mixture of yellow ochre, raw umber, and is it rose madder they call it? Yeah. The madder the rose, the sweeter the hose. And then that will be lightened with more yellow ochre and white. The red is in there because I've run out of burnt umber, which I would normally use, which is a bit more of a sort of richer, deeper brown, whereas raw umber is a duller, dirtier brown. So the red is in there just to up the richness of it and make it less grey looking. Which is, the grey look is fine sometimes, but you know, when you're trying to achieve a somewhat gold look, like for Judge Dredd's armour and such, you need a little bit of richness, a bit of colour in there. Don't want it to be too dull. Of course, you could, depending on how you're lighting your piece, you could have it dull and it would work. You could paint the whole thing turquoise. If he's in a turquoise lit room, you'd have turquoise Judge Dredd. It would look like an aqua Judge Dredd. Like those old toys, those old Batman toys and Spider-Man toys, where it's like Arctic Attack Aqua Batman, and he's all green and blue, and he's got like camouflage armour and stuff. And you start to think, when did that ever happen? Which Batman cartoon, you know, back in the day, because I wasn't really too aware of the comics, which Batman cartoon is it where he's Aqua Attack Arctic Armour Batman? When did Spider-Man get a spider car? When the fuck did this happen? And there's a toy of it. It must be out there in the world. It must exist. And then you get your Aqua Defence Force Edition Judge Dredd. Turquoise armour plating. What the fuck is going on? When did Dredd turn green? He's fucking green with envy. I don't know what he'd be envious of. He's Judge Dredd. People should be envious of him. Sons of bitches. I don't know why I randomly decided to feel like Popeye impressions were the thing to do. Speaking of Batman, here's something I've had written down for a while. Now, right, so I'll start by saying I don't know if this has been done already, and because I don't really, you know, I don't keep up on comics lore or superhero lore or whatever in general, so I don't know if this is out there and I just am unaware of it. But could Batman work if Bruce Wayne wasn't a billionaire playboy? Because I feel like, I mean, the obvious thing is, oh, Batman beats up poor people and helps the rich people. I'm not even talking about it from that standpoint. But, like, wouldn't it make more sense? And wouldn't it be a more relatable and intriguing and impactful, almost, story if Bruce Wayne came literally from nothing, if he came from an actual, not an actual cave as a caveman, but like, because the Batcave is a purpose-built, God knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars facility harbouring gadgets and technology, the likes of which most people will never ever hope to see in their lives. And he's like using it to take down criminals, which is cool, but like, if the whole thing is he's a bat and he's, you know, scary and he's in the underworld, this all made a lot more sense in my head. Now I'm saying it out loud, it sounds like I just hate Batman, which I don't, but I don't really have any feelings towards Batman at all, to be honest. I just think there's room for Batman to be a more of a working class hero. Like, maybe I don't want to make it too social commentary-y, but maybe Batman's parents died because, like, I don't know, some rich asshole in an expensive car ran them down, or like maybe his dad got killed by a rich person in a car accident. His mum died of what should have been a preventable illness, but then, you know, health insurance and stuff. And then Batman takes the law into his own hands in an amateur way at first, not really knowing or understanding what he's doing, but he has a mission that he's trying to accomplish. And not to turn it into like a class war thing, but I feel that's kind of what Batman should be. Because, well, that's one thing. I think maybe that's the angle I was coming at it from when I wrote down the idea, is that there really isn't a true working class superhero. And like, the underclasses, the working classes, are kind of who superheroes are supposed to be for. Like the working man, the everyday schmo that just needs a hand, needs some help. You know, working mums, people being pushed down by the system, by the society they're forced to inhabit, that doesn't work in their favour remotely. And like, Spider-Man is almost that, but then Spider-Man right from the start was like some super genius kid who made web shooters and all the rest of it. And it's like, well, that's fine. You can become a hero if you have the skills and capability to make some device like that, or if you've got all the money in the world to have all the gadgets in the world. But like, what if he was good, but all of his gadgets were like scrap built from whatever he could find, whatever he could maybe steal from building sites or whatever. Like, wouldn't that be a much more interesting tale rather than just he's the owner of a squillion billion dollar company and therefore he can have all this shit made as and when he wants to his specifications? Like, what if he had to sit there and come up with these ideas and craft things? Like, he realises, oh, it would be really useful if he could scale a building, so he sets to work trying to, you know, from scratch, build a grappling hook. And maybe somewhere along the way later on, he's able to hook up a winch system, so it's a grappling hook that can then pull him up a building, not just one that he has to climb up himself. There's like, that for me would be far more interesting as like a Batman type character to, you know, have to go through and deal with, rather than just his butler is worried about him because of all the bumps and bruises. And I mean, if nothing else, I guess Miles Morales, that guy, that Spider-Man, he's probably the closest to like a, you know, a working class hero type. I don't know. It was just an idea. Again, that might already be a thing that exists. I don't know. It might be a stupid idea. I don't know. But it is just that. It's just an idea. Just one more idea that maybe I should turn into a comic one day. If I, one more on the long list of those. I Oh, if I had funding for all the ideas I'd had. Wouldn't that be lovely if we could all get funded? If billionaires weren't fucking ruining the world for all of us. But never mind, eh? Hey, look at this. Oh, Judge Dredd. Roar. So now I'm highlighting, but trying to texture, man. Trying to make the not just put in a bunch of bumps and stuff to add texture, but to like make the metal look like it might actually be a shiny metal as opposed to just yellow. It's not easy. It's not fucking easy. And now I have too much red. I need to go more yellow, less red to try to really make it look how I'm trying to get it to look. And I think that's where the bright highlights will come in. Oh, I got blue in it. God damn it. Got blue on my brush. That's not going to help any. You get the base tones down, and then you don't highlight it up too much, and then you put on the final like bright white highlights, just a couple of little like lines and dots of shininess, and that really makes it look like metal as opposed to any other texture that he might have on his person or what have you. I don't know if this is quite working. This is starting to look like stone or something, and I'm not sure I'm cool with it. Let's see if we can adjust. Oh dear, this is going a bit pear-shaped. I will be honest. I mean, in an instance like this, you can sort of get away with just painting it the right colours, because then you know it's Judge Dredd, you know he has like these metal shoulder pads. So however you paint it, again, you could paint them turquoise and you'd go, oh, it's Judge Dredd, he has metal shoulder pads, whatever. But you should still at least try to make it look like, you know, the right material, the right texture and whatnot. You've got to put in some effort, sadly. Minimal effort, hopefully, but ultimately some effort. When the minimum effort slogan doesn't work, we move into some effort. Get some lines down here. I think for me, Jim Murray does the best Judge Dredd's shoulder pads that I've seen. It's just something about the way he like layers the bits and the shape of they have like a concave to them, and they're over like a couple of other bits of shoulder pad. Just I mean, I'm not going to bother getting out a book and showing you examples. Maybe I should, but I'm not going to. But yeah, Jim Murray's Dredd. Jim Murray's Judge Dredd overall is one of my favourite looking ones. And he's been one of the best. The obvious is like Simon Bisley, but cannot really beat Jim Murray Judge Dredd. Oh, that looks quite good. I wasn't sure about that. I thought that was quite a bold move to make with that brush stroke, but no, that came out all right. Put in this line here. These are some bold decisions I'm making with this very light yellow right now. I think it's working. showing the different sort of like, because this is a flat piece of metal, so if it's facing the light source, it's almost going to be fully lit. But then where this is a rounded chain, only like one ridge of it is going to be facing the light, so only a small slither of it is going to be highlighted. That's a lesson in texture, in lighting, in fucking painting shit. And these are all things that like I have learned a bit here and there, and I'm still kind of learning just how to differentiate surfaces through lighting and application of colour and shit. I want to make that more yellow. Is that going to work? Kind of, sort of. This is somewhat experimental. It doesn't look it, but it is. That happened a lot at university. I'd work on a piece, and I'd try some new things that I hadn't tried before. And then when I was showing the work and saying, oh, this is kind of experimental because of this, this, and this, and then at least one of the lecturers, it happened several times, would say, oh, it doesn't look experimental. And like, the art itself isn't experimental, but like I was experimenting with things while I was doing it. So it just is experimental by the very fact that I made the fucking thing. So shut up. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Idiot. What are you, professional artists and illustrators that's so good that you had to go into teaching? Fucking nobodies. A lot of... I say that from here where I'm nobody. But I was going to give another example of when something similar like that happened, but I can't be fucked. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's... I don't know if it looks like metal, but it is, so shut up. Let's put in one of these things here. One of these wing feather scale things, and then a different one here. That's probably alright, isn't it? Ugh. How much more of this have you got to sit through? Hours and hours and hours. That is the end of that chapter. Oh shit! I've farting finished it. I did record me finishing it. I may well be playing the video now, sped up, just so you can see that I did actually paint it. I mean, this is evidence that I painted it, but to show you that I did paint it. I added in parts, details, textures and such. I was literally just sat in silence, no music or anything, just quietly painting it, not because I just wanted to get it done, but I guess I just wasn't feeling particularly talkative, and so I kind of just wanted to get it done. And so I got it done, and I like it. I don't love it. I'm happy with the result. I also, if I am playing that video, I don't know if this will fuck it up. So maybe I'll deal with that. But so that's the So I like this. I like how there's quite a lot of kind of realism in like the face, for instance, which this looks a lot cartoony, and this looks more cartoony in terms of the colouring and stuff as well. But this looks like a much more me painted image, and it feels like I have painted this, whereas this, as it makes sense, feels like I was copying someone else. Because Greg Staples uses lighter, different coloured washes for his stuff and then paints on top of those, whereas I go like dark red and then just fucking whatever. And so there's quite a bit more sort of, I don't know, subtlety in Greg Staples' pieces, whereas mine are just fucking paint it on the thing and I paint it and it's done, it's fucking done. Which is also how I draw. Some people draw very delicately, like with cross-hatching and stuff, very delicate lines, softly blended. Whereas I literally actually had multiple people describe my style of cross-hatching as like carving into the paper. Because I'm fucking like scribbling and carving and fucking get it in it, fucking piss my god, fucking fuck. Because when I do it hard. And by it, well, let's just say I mean your mother. That's, yeah. That's cool, innit? From that to that to this to that to that to that and this, all of this, bit of that, stick it in there, pull it out. I think that means I'm gay now. I mean, I was always a bit gay, but I think now that means I'm fully that way. What would I change? What would I if I was going to what could I add or maybe the blue is a bit bright. I think overall maybe I could add some like brown to all of it, just a bit of rust here, a bit of tone and dirt there, some smudges and shit, maybe a bit more stubble. But overall, like I say, I'm happy with. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. That's a cool Dredd piece of Dredd, and that's what Dredd said. And Dredd is no longer alive because Dredd is dead.